So my dad wisely put up a heavy bag in our basement. And whenever he could see me getting on the edge, losing my patience, losing my temper, he'd be like, Adam, 20 minutes, heavy bag. Like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. He's like, no, go do it. And he would listen upstairs and if I stopped swinging, he'd be like, 20 minutes on up, buddy. What's going on? Like, I need to see the swinging. And it just wore me out into a flop sweat. But I think something clicked for me. Like, I need to exert myself physically or just mentally, psychologically. I'm not healthy. And maybe that's a special case, but I don't think so. I think a lot of guys actually are so much healthier mentally and physically when they exert themselves and do a flop sweat. Maybe it's not punching a heavy bag.
And maybe it's not violence, but aggression. And because you'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Amen.
And so having that ability to be violent should be something that all men should have the ability to do. And it's when you see a UFC fighter or a former special operator or a Marine for that matter, they have the ability to really mess you up, but they reserve and are some of the most peaceful people walking the planet when they're out in society.
1,000%. Yeah, and I'm actually a little sad that I've talked to guys who they didn't get in fistfights growing up. Like, I think that's part of really you like never, not even once. Like you never. I think that is actually a really healthy thing. It's part boys being boys.
Yeah.
And I know you can't even say that in some politically correct circles nowadays. But man, I realized, okay, I need to play football. That's what I realized in high school.
Yeah.
And again, smallest kid, I'm not all state athlete or anything like that, but something about knocking other people around and getting knocked around, just, it felt good. And the camaraderie that developed even in high school sports, like contact sports, like football, you became really tight. Those became your brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were in the weight room together. We did Oklahoma tackling drills back before they banned those. And you developed a deep
Those were so
bond.
great, so brutal.
Those are the best, though. I love that.
I
And
know.
I'm not saying that as like a guy who I won most of them. It was really fun. It was really healthy.
Yeah.
So later on, that led to like, I'm going to join a boxing gym. I'm going to do some kickboxing. Again, never competed, but really seeing the value in maybe what you said is better than violence is aggression.
Yeah.
Just heavy competition.
Well, I think where we've gotten to as a society too is part of the problem, and they throw around toxic masculinity all the time, is first of all, masculinity in and of itself is not toxic.
Not at all.
And secondly, because we're not able to punch each other in the face anymore when someone says something messed up to you, that's a problem. So these guys that never got in fights before, or go on and be internet tough guys and bully people into mental depression, like if that was like said face to face, there's a risk of you getting punched in the mouth.
That's right.
And that's what you and I had growing up that actually, I think, fostered respect more for each other and women and all around, because, hey, if you say something messed up, there's a risk that you're going to get knocked on your ass.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there isn't that risk because someone's parent's going to come in and sue you.
Right.
Well, your kid said something messed up. And they keep doing that, it's going to lead to depression or bullying or suicide. Whereas if someone could have just punched them in the mouth, it could have ended it right there.
I have so many friends, childhood, and some of them I'm even friends with now today. We got in fights all the time, and it was almost like you roll your sleeves up, throw a few punches, and then you go hang out some more. Okay, you good? I'm good. All right, cool. We got it off our chest. Like, and nowadays it'd be like, let's go have a beer now. We'd break each other's nose and let's go have a beer. Settled, done. And I think there's something redeemable about that. Not that that's like this should happen all the time.
Right.
But I don't know. We've lost our toughness physically and mentally as men.
When you think about it from the women's standpoint, so my hairstylist comes over every other week. We started this trend in COVID. So you don't need a hairstylist anymore, but you're your own. But either way, so we started this during COVID. I was shaggy as can be, and I was sitting there going, "Hey, Aaron, you scared of this thing?" He's like, "No, but we're shut down." I was like, "Cool, would you come over?" And I brought a few of my financial advisors over. He cut all our hair, and so his wife doesn't cook, mine does. He comes over, gets a home cooked meal, cuts my hair, now my son's hair, every other week. But the point of me bringing this story up is that like we talk shit to each other. Like, and he's a Kiwi, so he played rugby and cricket, just tough old boy. And we talk. Like my wife will sit there and go, I can't believe you guys talk to each other like that. So I think about it from like the women's standpoint, but like women can be conniving to each other and say things behind each other's back. We say it to each other's faces.
Or
And
we should.
or we should, yeah. We say it to each other's faces, and there's no, it's like water off a duck's back.
That's right.
Because we know that we're joking around. If we were serious, then there is that risk of getting confronted. Women, on the other hand, go behind each other's backs and talk all this crap because they've never were brought up with that same mentality. So it's just interesting to listen to my wife. Like she was like, Josh, that was mean. I was like, he laughed. Like, and he'll say something back to me.
That's right. And then you dish it back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's something about the masculine soul that's almost one of the main ways we show affection. You get together with a good group of buddies over cigars and you're going to razz each other, but there's a lot of men out there today that can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I already razzed you about your haircut and you're good.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like you laugh it off, you dish it back a little bit. And I don't know. And why do we have higher levels of anxiety and depression, specifically among young men today, than ever before in our history? I think part of the reason is we didn't grow up like these men didn't grow up like you and I did.
Well,
there isn't that mental toughness anymore.
You're right. And then actually we could go even further. You brought up history. When do you become a man in America?
There's no initiation.
There's no ritual.
Right.
Right. So you go to another country where they do have rituals and they ask you, hey, like you go to Africa or something like that, or we could take it back to, the Spartan days. Like you're going out as a young boy and you're going to hunt a lion, and either you come back alive or you don't. You come back a man or you're dead.
That's right.
Like there is no ritual for us as men, boys to men in America at all.
Right. Even the, our Jewish brothers, bar mitzvah, right? Like the men in the community get around you and say, okay, you are now a man. And they give you that initiation and that blessing. But we don't know how to do that today. Yeah. And that's a problem. I know some of my buddies who were really into hunting. That was a time for them. I got my first buck, and my dad was, here's the knife. You field dress it and you haul it out of the woods. And that's like, you're a man now. Your dad and your uncles are there like, nice job, buddy. You did it.
What age was that for you?
Not for me, for my friends who hunted. I did not hunt growing up. I took on that skill later, thanks to my wife's family. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, and that's a good skill. It's a great skill to be able to be a provider in this context nowadays, to be able to hunt, to be able to field dress, to be able to be strong enough to carry that animal back to your family.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to have this land here and I don't have to carry it too far. But it's a skill. And my 7-year-old son came with me on opening weekend, fell asleep both times. But then we saw some doe and he's like, Dad, you gonna shoot one? I said, we're waiting for a buck, bud. Nice. And was able to have a conversation about land management, herd management. And I was like, towards the end of the week, if we don't see a buck that we want, one of the worst things is going to a meat processor and seeing a young buck shot there. It's like, what are you doing? Like, let the thing grow up. There's plenty of doe out there. Yeah. Like let the buck grow. Yeah. But it's great to have those conversations with your boys and really talk about what it is to provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. My middle daughter has gotten into hunting with the crossbow the last couple seasons.
Oh, that's awesome.
And seeing her develop that skill, crossbows are awesome. And seeing her get in there, holding the heart, and this is cool. So, and she's even said, like, I'm not going to marry a man who is uncomfortable with this. I like that, a girl. Yeah. I hope he's better than you at hunting, and I hope you can do it with him together and it doesn't gross him out, and there's a skill that you both have and can enjoy together. That's awesome.
What great bonding time would that be with a future partner? Like golf, you have 4 hours if your spouse chooses to golf with you or not.
For real.
Hunting, you'd have multiple hours, weekends away, whatever it may be, to really bond with your spouse. That'd be awesome. My wife does not hunt, has no interest.
That's fine too.
And it's totally cool. But I was just thinking about that for your daughter. Is like, if she stays with that and she marries someone that is cool with that, That's great bonding time.
For sure.